Intro.
Welcome back to the latest edition of T-Tag's Shot Talk. We are coming to you today from the library of Austin barrister and T-Tag contributor Louis Bonham.
Louis K. Bonham.
Louis K. Bonham. Thanks for having us, Louis.
Welcome here.
Appreciate it. And he's offered us some treats. I don't know if they're in the...
He has. Wish you could taste these. They're delicious.
There's a low humidity treat in there.
That's right.
Which is this one. What's that called? Divine?
Divinity.
Divinity. Okay.
Southern Tree.
Speaking of divine, Louis, that's your revolver there. You want to tell us a little bit about that gun?
Well, this is a circa about 1963 Colt Diamondback in 22, and this was basically put out for a few years as a training version of the Diamondback 38, which, again, as you can see, has all the, if I can get an angle for this, has the very intensely dark bluing that Colts of this vintage were famous for. It's got a extra trigger shoe on it, but absolutely just
gorgeous gun.
Beautiful gun, wonderful trigger pull, dead nuts accurate.
How'd you come to it?
My father gave this one to me years ago. Sure, certainly.
Wow, it is the finish on these things, which is
it's that deep arsenic bluing I think that they can't do anymore.
It just feels right too. It just slides and glides.
It's, again, like a Mercedes. It just snaps together.
May I dry fire it?
Go ahead. Let's try it single.
Oh, Lord.
So hopefully with
New cigarette?
Yes. So hopefully with the new Cobra that, again, as
beautiful.
We read on T-Tag this morning, is being resurrected. Hopefully Colt will be able to do for their old wheel guns what CZ was able to do for Dan Wesson.
Yeah, it's nice to see. Kimber last year coming out with their revolver, and this year Colt bringing back the Cobra, and you hope the other snakes will follow, the Diamondback and the Python.
So Nick, this is a genuinely new gun coming out from Cobra at SHOT Show. I mean, you have this thing about genuinely new guns.
I do. So here's
you need to face that way a bit more.
A little bit.
So I want to put a camera over there.
No, we're good.
We're fine.
Okay.
So here's the thing. It's not a new gun, right? It's the same gun they've done for years. It's like Remington coming out with the R51. It's an improved, updated version of an existing gun. Not technically new, but it's acceptably new. The question is, what made the old Snake series so perfect was the hand fitting and the hand tooling and the polishing and all the care and craftsmanship that went into every gun. And that's what still makes it awesome today. The question is whether the Colt of today can still make it to that level, if they still have the craftsmen available to turn out that kind of production.
Right, you assume that most of those are dead, most of those people.
And moved on or done other things.
And did they have
started up their own
machinery?
shop.
Did they have to have new machinery?
Yeah, because when we saw Marlin move to Remington, we had the rough period where they weren't so good anymore, and now they're back. So
Well, Remington did actually bring one person over,
Yeah.
I think, or maybe two from Marlin. That was an interesting story because they got the machines, they brought them all over to, Ilion?
Yeah.
In New York, so they want to consolidate production. And they discovered they had all the blueprints for how to build the guns, and they found that the blueprints had pretty much nothing to do with the actual guns being built.
Right.
It was always, Joe putting a little bit of this on,
Yeah.
do a little of that.
Yeah, it was very ad hoc.
We had one that actually the stock snapped off back in the day. Of course, they're back. We hope. In fact, we have a gun we have a lever gun, don't we, from Henry?
from Henry, yeah. I think it's behind you.
There we go, which we'll be reviewing shortly.
Speaking of lever guns, Louis, you want to take a look at that?
Yeah, this is the Henry 357 lever gun, and I believe I fired this one with you already.
The big boy steel.
Big boy steel.
Oh, it's got the big loop on it too.
Yeah. The rifleman loop.
Wonderfully smooth
Nice.
action.
Yeah.
Nice crisp trigger.
And not gold or silver,
No.
Actual blue.
Yeah. Actual blue.
which is
All of
great because the thing about those Henrys is I just get paranoid of being scratched.
That's my favorite gun they make.
Yeah. Again, very nice. This looks like machine checkering.
Right.
But
Yeah.
very,
So
still
it's built
very,
to a price.
very crisp. Very crisp. Nice wood.
Butt pad.
Yeah, butt pad.
Yeah.
But again, balances well.
What do you think of the buckhorn sights? Are you okay with those?
I am. I've got an old Marlin with the classic buckhorn sights, which I kind of like. The one thing I don't particularly like about this style lever gun is, of course, is that it's a 2 magazine as opposed to the
Right.
ones with the
Well, now there are plenty of people who
jack.
say that the tube magazine is a better thing to have for various reasons.
Different strokes for different
Yeah,
folks.
it's a tomato thing.
That's right.
I actually like the tube, but a lot of people hate it.
Right? And is there a safety on this thing?
No,
Nope.
No safety. Huh, okay.
it's a lever gun.
I know. Well, Marlins have safeties. Just saying.
They do.
They do.
Great gun.
So one of the things that I thought was really cool back in the old AAC days was they had a 357 lever gun suppressed. And I thought that was just the slickest thing I've ever seen in my life. And when I'm looking at this gun, and I see there's just enough space
Just enough to do it
thread
there?
the barrel and get a can on the front of that, and that's all I could think of at this point. Is how quiet and awesome that would be.
Make it a little long, but still.
357 is a
bad.
great cartridge for hunting.
Yeah,
for,
yeah. That'll kill a deer.
And it's actually a good gun for people who live in non-gun friendly states for self-defense, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
if you,
absolutely.
If you take that out, it's not as intimidating as a as a black
scary
gun.
black rifle.
Hey, we happen to have a scary black rifle.
Speaking of scary back rifles,
Scary black rifles.
Yeah, there's one.
this is a 300 Blackout from Bushmaster we just got in.
I don't like the thing on the front end. That thing with the
The paper?
yeah.
I think that's removable.
Oh, is it? Oh, there
What do you
go.
know?
Yeah, how about that? How's this engineered? Because details matter.
It's a little flimsy.
Oh, see the little rubbery thing?
Not
there?
sure that'll hold up.
Yeah, okay. So yes.
Yeah, I like it. So Keymod allows you to have this really flat surface on the rail. So the Picatinny Rail, you have to sit proud of the rail. It has to be big and bulky. It's got this rough aggressiveness on it.
Cheese grater.
Yeah, it feels awful. And it used to be all the rage to have all four sides of your handguard covered in these rails. But the more people use them, the more they realize that they prefer unbloody and, non-terrible
And
hands.
unbowed.
And it's a lot slimmer. So the Keymod or the M-Lock allows you to just put only what you need on there. So it's a nice grippy surface.
Cigar
but
holder, flashlight,
lights, lasers,
coffee maker.
whatever you
Camera.
want. Exactly.
There's a little Keurig thing they make now for AR-15s.
I suppose there is.
Yeah.
But it leaves the rest of the handguard just slim, so you don't hit anything, you don't get it snagged on anything. It's a lot easier to hold for people with non-large hands. I like it.
Nothing else about it is any particularly different.
That's about it. It's got
an air.
the Mission First Tactical stock on it. It's got standard charging handle. The trigger's a nice, good one-stage, single-stage trigger. It's
I
300
felt it
Blackout.
didn't feel bad at all for a stock trigger.
No, it's actually pretty good.
Is the flash hider a quick connect?
Yeah, it looks like a standard 51 tooth AAC flash hider. Bushmaster is owned by Remington, who owns AAC, so they're all doing that
It used to
thing.
be the Freedom Group, right?
Yeah,
And now it's
Remington Outdoors.
Remington
I think.
Outdoor.
Yeah. And they tried to sell Bushmaster after the Sandy Hook thing, and were unsuccessful at doing so.
Probably good that they didn't.
Yeah, because then these days the black rifle craze is bigger than ever.
Right. Let Lewis take a look at it. Lewis,
Absolutely.
This is a 300 Blackout. You ever thought about using that caliber?
300 Blackout? Oh yes,
Yeah.
I've got an SBR in that caliber, and
course.
again, I like 300 Blackout. It's I think it's probably underpowered for deer and possibly even for hogs, unless you're really going to do it. But for
What does that mean
suppress-
unless you're really going to do it? You mean unless you get up close and
Yeah,
right?
pretty much.
Double tap them in the head, mafia style.
Wouldn't know, but no, but particularly for range suppressed.
Right.
It's just a wonderful caliber.
Yeah.
So what would you use it for if you're not going to use it for hunting? The outdoor toy?
Well, I mean, you can use an outdoor toy. You can use it for some hunting. I'm just saying, is if you're going to try to make an ethical
It's not a
kill on
500
one.
yard gun. It's like a 200 yard gun.
Right.
For anything out here in the hill country of Texas, you're probably going to be
Probably
okay.
okay.
Yeah.
And for hogs up close and personal, yeah, it's fine. But if you're going to try to make, I'd say even a 200-yard shot on a hog with especially if you're going to run it suppressed. Okay.
You've killed hogs with a 300, haven't you?
I have the supersonic stuff especially.
Supersonic.
Yeah,
is good.
subsonic.
Another story.
200 yards is a little
That's pushing it.
Yeah.
But this balances very nice.
So they're interesting. We just looked at 357, right, which is a pistol powder cartridge in a rifle length. So the increased length gives you more velocity. It's great. That 300 Blackout is also a pistol powder caliber in a rifle length, roughly 30 caliber. So it's kind of the same sort of thing. It's just an old school and new school approach to the same thing. But the 300 Blackout gives you that supersonic, subsonic capability where you can swap between either one.
Which
thought it
one
was
would you rather hunt hogs with, the 357 or a 300 Blackout?
300 Blackout.
Why?
I like the ability to choose. So if I've got, if I'm in a place where it's nice and close in, there's maybe some neighbors who are kind of pissed off at me, I can choose the.
You?
Why would that be?
How could that possibly happen?
So I can choose the subsonic, and I don't have to worry about anyone hearing what I'm doing, getting pissed off, getting annoyed. I don't have to worry about scaring off other game. I don't have to worry about my friends having hearing protection. It's great. Or if I want to go deer hunting a little further out, I can choose the supersonic, and then it's a much more accurate round. It's much faster, zippier. I've killed 3 deer with the 300 Blackout at this point.
One shot or 2? Or?
One shot every time.
Well, one shot
straight
for 3
down.
deer. How'd you get them to line up? It's pretty good going.
That's
right?
quite a
One shot
feat.
each. Yeah.
Headshot still, because the first deer you ever shot was a headshot.
It was. That was a.
And the second
Really?
deer
That was a 308.
Yeah.
Now I think I'm going for the
Lungs.
The lungs these
Lungs and
days.
heart.
Yeah.
I've learned.
Makes for better trophies.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
But
me too.
I've learned from the best, and I've changed my ways.
Okay. But you were kind of proud of yourself for hitting the smaller target, though.
I was a little bit, and it is. If you can do it, it's more humane. Like the deer is just instantly dead. You don't have to worry about chasing it or anything like that. But the more that I get into this, the more I understand, it's a more riskier shot because you have to get it right the first time. If you don't, if you hit it in the jaw, you hit it somewhere else.
Maim the deer.
Yeah,
It's awful.
It's awful.
You
So.
need to turn your chair a little bit more, Nick, because your profile is wonderful, but
I think he
You
looks
don't like
lovely.
this?
it's nice. We have to announce Nick's engagement.
Nick is newly engaged.
Congratulations,
We
Nick.
need to. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, congratulations.
When's the big day?
I have no idea.
Listen, that to her.
My part is done here. Like I popped the question, the ring's on the finger. I'm done. I'm out.
She's surprised.
I'm along for the ride.
He's got photos to prove that it actually happened.
It exists.
How did you pop the question, though?
So I did it in Austin.
You did it in Austin?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to do it in the Mets field or something.
No.
He tricked her.
No, I
Tricked us, too, then.
I took her. I found these great tickets to Paris for like ridiculously cheap. So we're okay.
Right.
Great trip to Paris. We'll do the whole thing, and then everyone's expecting. Okay, they're going to get engaged in Paris. No, no, do it in Austin.
Airport?
Nope.
Terminal 3, what?
Like a week before, like in Austin.
Okay.
Just in her favorite restaurant, get her really drunk, so it
So she can't
improving my
say no.
chances.
Can't say no, right?
Improving my chances.
That's how-
Reduce all her inhibitions.
That's how we got there in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just pull out the nice little ring.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And the big news is she's agreed to go shooting.
She does want to go shooting.
Now, tell us a little bit about the anti-gun.
She's
Animus there.
She's very hesitant to go shooting. She's not. It's not something that she's wants to do in her own nature. And so I've been very understanding. Like I don't push her to do it. It's not like I force her to do this thing. I figure when
not for everybody.
No, when the time is right, she'll come and we'll go do it together. But I don't want to force the issue. I want it to be something that she wants to do herself. And I think we're at that point where we've been together for a while now, and she wants to understand this part of my life that I do as well as the other stuff. And so
And you agreed to do scrapbooking for her, right? Isn't that?
It's a fair trade-off.
yeah, no,
No,
that's a bridge too far.
Quick question for you, Lewis. When you met Patty, was she a gun gal?
No, she was not. Again, we've been together for, good grief, 34 years now.
Muzzle tough.
Muzzle tough. But she was, she wasn't necessarily anti-gun, but it certainly wasn't something that she would have thought of doing. And she still doesn't, for example, go out and shoot long range, but she definitely knows what to do with her PPQ.
Okay. And
to
Dan,
know.
your missus recently took up shooting.
She did, thanks to the Texas Firearms Festival. She's now getting into bench rest rifle shooting, long distance.
But
So,
really into it.
really into it. We're going to be setting up a rifle for a Remington 700, thinking about a Night Force scope. So
And she had no gun experience previous.
absolutely none.
So she just went up to the Texas Firearms Festival.
Never interested her until she actually picked one up at the festival and started plinking a 250-yard target with iron sights regularly. So
Wow.
yeah, I know. I was
And
surprised.
hit it.
Shocked.
Yeah. she's
8 out of
really
8
good.
shots, 250 yards, iron target with a was the Odin rifle? Was that
Yeah.
who makes that? They're in Houston.
Thor, isn't it?
No. no.
Somebody.
Battle rifle?
Battle Rifle Company? Yeah.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've got about 5 minutes left.
Speaking of rifles, you got
Yes.
one more? See?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
something else.
Yeah, this is a piece of history.
We're going to keep this to 20 minutes.
You keep saying
We'll do our best.
No, we're going to.
We also want to get a legal update from
Okay, is
Lewis.
that long enough or what?
This is definitely.
I think you need
long
both
enough.
cameras just to get it in shot.
Yeah, it is, anyway,
So the actress to the bishop.
this is a Arisaka Type 99 long. Now, this was in 1939. The Empire of Japan was converting from the 6.5 Japanese cartridge to a 7.7, and this was the initial prototype run, in which they had the same length of the barrel as they did on the 6.5. Now, subsequently in testing, they determined that they could get away with chopping the barrel off about 6 inches shorter, and so that's how pretty much all of them were made during this one. But this particular one is what's called a Type 0. It's very early on, and we can sit and take a close-up.
That's a beautiful gun.
But it has the mum showing it was imperial property. It's been struck but not ground. And the
Straight bolt.
the serial number. Yeah, again, it's a Mauser action. And very, very, very firm. Of course, I can't do it one-handed, but
There we go.
yeah. But it is a cock on close, so it's a little bit different there. The trigger is very heavy. It's probably about an 11-pound trigger, but it does break very cleanly. The other couple of interesting things about this one was the bore is chromed. This was one of the first production guns that was with a chrome barrel, and so you look at it and it's as bright as the day it was made. The other one, and this is common to early era Arisaka, is the rear sight, which, as you'll see, has aircraft wings, and this was for volley fire against aircraft, which, you know, choose what you're going to talk about, but that's what they were going to do.
That's one reason they didn't win the war.
Well, again, for volley fire they would.
Something on a nuclear weapon.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
as
something
you can
doing.
see, you know, it adjusts up to 1,700 yards and folds all right back down with the sight for the.
The bayonet is blunted.
The bayonet has a sheet, has a cover on it.
Oh, look at that.
There we go.
How sharp is that thing?
Don't
my nail on
Yeah,
it.
done.
It's reasonably
No
sharp.
blood on the table,
It's
please.
a class one as well.
All right.
But in any event, so it's a piece of history. I took this out with John Wayne, and at 100 yards off a sandbag, it was throwing nice fist-sized groups. And even though this was probably the first time it had been shot, you know, since it was brought over, because when I got it, it was from a friend of my father's who had brought it back, and it was still full of creosote. So it probably has never been fired in North America until about a year ago. But
now there's one of those behind every blade of grass, isn't there?
I don't think it was one of those.
Not hardly, but again, it's the Arisaka Type 99 gets a bad rap because a lot of people, you know, talk about the last ditch rifles that people brought back that were made in the later part of the war that purportedly blew up and stuff like
Yeah,
this.
really chunky.
That's more of a myth. There were training rifles that weren't designed to shoot full power loads that people brought back and shot, and that's what that generally did. The actual ones, especially the ones from early in the war, afterwards they actually tested them in the U.S. and they actually determined that the action on the Arisaka Type 99 was probably the strongest action of any bolt-action rifle used in the Second World War.
So it'll handle those heavy
It'll
loads.
handle those heavy loads. It's stout. It does very, very well. Again, it's a wonderful piece of history.
Yep.
You know, even down to the poison lacquer.
Don't like that
finish
guy.
on it.
Yeah. Listen, I want to wrap this up, so I'm just going to ask you a Second Amendment question because you are a lawyer.
Yeah, we want to take advantage of Lewis's legal knowledge.
So let's finish with this. What do you see going on in the 2A world that's important right now?
Right now, the most important thing is who Donald Trump is going to appoint to the Supreme Court. Right now, smart money is on probably Diane Sykes of the Seventh Circuit, who would be an excellent choice. Running a close second would be Judge Pryor on the 11th Circuit. I think those are pretty much, unless he does something totally unexpected. I think
Donald Trump do something totally unexpected?
It could happen.
What are the odds?
What are the odds? But I do think that I think Diane Sykes is probably going to get the nod because I think she'll be easier to get through the Senate, even though the Republicans can go nuclear on
Less
it at any
paper
time.
trail? What's the issue there?
To be blunt, I think you're going to have certain Democratic senators are not going to want to, excuse me, go after a woman nominee. Now, that won't stop them.
It's sad, but I'm sure that's a factor.
It's certainly one to play in there. That one will...
Is she
if you
white,
will-
by the way? Is she Hispanic? Is she Jewish? Do we know what her secondary minority
Yeah, we have to know. We have to know her identity. Her identity
I don't
features.
know, and I really don't care.
Well,
she's a very capable jurist. That's all that matters.
Is she on our side?
She seems to be, again, until you...
A friend of ours?
You actually... Seems to be a friend of ours, but again, until you put them under the acid test of what they'll do, who knows? She may turn a suitor. I doubt it. The real test, though, is going to be after that seat is filled, because that then gives us... People would say that's a 5-4 split. I think it's still more of a 4-4 Anthony Kennedy split. And Kennedy is very unpredictable.
Right.
Now, the interesting thing, though, will be Kennedy is, I believe, 80 or 83. He's over 80.
He's up there. Ginsburg's up there.
He is up there, but he is a Republican. And so
Nominally.
he could very well be thinking now might be the time to allow a Republican to appoint my successor.
Right.
If you then had that happen, I think the chances are that you would have a solid 5-4 majority
right-leaning
on lots
majority.
of things, especially Second Amendment stuff.
Right.
And then the question becomes, will the actuarial tables catch up with Ginsburg and Breyer?
Breyer, yeah.
I don't wish ill on anyone.
No, but
if the
they're
actuarial
older.
tables hold and one or both of them is no longer on the court, now it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Because now you have
6-3.
6-3 or even 7-2.
All right.
And that could happen.
Generational change.
Well, listen, I want to wrap it up here. Thank you, Louis, for inviting us into your beautiful house.
Anytime.
And the delightful thing was, what's it called? The delicious?
Divinity.
Divinity. I feel elevated by that. Certainly my blood sugar is. So we'll see you again next week. Thank you for coming to Shot Talk. And if you have any questions or comments, put them underneath and we'll address them forthwith. Thank you.